Hi guys, I'm PUTSY. Welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I'm going to do the end of the year book tag for 2024, even though it's already 2025. So I know it's already 2025, it's January. I'm supposed to do this video probably a month ago, but last month I haven't started doing YouTube again. If you go back to my channel, the last video I posted was like, hi, this is me, I'm coming back to YouTube after disappearing for 2.5 years. Or if you want to know the reason why, maybe check out that video. I wanted to give you a short explanation, but I think it ended up being quite long and all over the place. But yeah, I'm back. I want to go back doing YouTube again in 2025. Not that anyone probably care, because I don't have that many subscribers, but I shouldn't think no one cares, because someone did actually ask me if I'm going back to YouTube, like where I was and everything. So I'm back. Hopefully I can like fully back doing it regularly, post consistently and everything. That's my 2025 goal, and I also hope I can reach at least 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year and get monetized and everything. I'm not doing it for the money, guys, but I'm not gonna lie, I do really wanna make it one of my source of income, just so I don't have to work and be focused on doing YouTube, because I genuinely love it so much. I missed it terribly for the past 2.5 years. I just want to do it for as long as I possibly can and do it every day if I can. So that's one of the reasons why I posted this specific video in 2025, but also I filmed this last week. In my head, I thought this week I'm going to have a bookish week, kind of like Bookmas or Vlogmas, like Bookmas, book content for a week or 2 week or whatever, post every day, basically about books. I was planning on doing that last week. This week when I'm filming this, but last week when you watch this, probably. So every day I will talk about my recaps, 2024 end of the year type of book content, and then 2025 TBR and all of that, just sort of to close the 2024 reading year chapter and welcome the new year. But I filmed 3 videos. I didn't like how it looked, I didn't like how it sound. I was very all over the place. I talk in circles like I always do, but it was worse in that video. I don't have proper lighting. I don't have to have studio lighting or whatever. I can use natural light, but I'm filming in my parents' house, my old bedroom, so I don't have natural lights here in my bedroom. Very dark, so the light wasn't the best. I now have at least one lighting kind of blazing into my left eye, but that's fine. I know this side is very dark, but at least it's better. You can still see me and it's not very blurry. I also just get another mic because I lost my old microphone. I hope the sound quality is the best you can hear me and it's better. So I just didn't like how it looked, and I hope this one will be at least decent. So bear with me, I'm so sorry if I post this very late in 2025, but that's the reason why. That's a very long explanation, but okay, let's just get into what the video is actually about. This tag, obviously, I'm not the one who created this question. Everyone who make book content actually make this video last month, like I said. I just want to join in and do it because the question sounds so much fun. I think I did it once in 2021, probably, yeah, 2021. So I want to do it again to start off this bookish week. Honestly, I had one of the best year of reading. As of right now, I think I read 76 books, but also because of how diverse it is, I truly use reading as a lifeline in 2024. I had one of the worst year of my life, but also the best at the same time. It was weird, so I think it will be interesting. I just want to close this chapter on a positive note by talking about books, even though the very first question is gonna be quite negative, because the first question is most disappointing book of the year. And by the way, I'm so sorry if I'm holding my iPad and you can see that, because I have all of the question here. When I think about disappointing, it's not necessarily the worst book I've read, but it's more like the book that I thought I will like or I have really high hope for, but it ended up being okay or meh, or just not as good as I thought it would be. And one book in particular comes to my mind. It's The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. Now, I didn't think it would be like the best book I've ever read or 5 stars or anything like that, but in my head I thought it will be at least one of the best thriller in 2024 because I've seen the cover quite a lot of times. So I thought in my head I convinced myself that it will be good. I even put this in my 2024 TBR. I honestly don't even remember a thing about this book. Like I don't remember what happened. All I remember is it has a husband, a wife, and a mistress, I think. I don't even know if that's this book or is The Last Mrs. Paris. Now, in my head, they're two kind of jumbled together. That's how much I don't remember these books. I also remember I enjoyed listening to the book because I listened to the audiobook, but the ending was kind of like disappointed me so much that I just forget the rest of the book that I enjoyed prior. All I remember is I was kind of like, what the heck was just happened? Unrealistic. I just didn't like the ending. That's all I remember. And now I just found out that looking up the Goodreads that it's actually gonna be a series. I mean, it kind of makes sense because the ending will be answered in the second book, but at the same time, I just didn't care if it has a second book or not, just because I don't remember anything from the first one. So, second question is what was an underdog book for me in 2024? I have to answer for this. The first one is Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillick. It's the second book in the Sever King duology. Now it's an underdog book because I didn't expect it to love this as much as I did because I know a lot of people raved about the first book, not the series, like the first book specifically. Everyone gave it 5 stars. I was expecting a lot out of it, and it was kind of a little bit of a disappointment, I think, because I didn't love it. I liked it, but it wasn't 5 star for me, mainly because of the romance in it. Felt a little bit. It went from this to this very quickly. Like it just kind of jumpy, like the romance specifically. But I do really like the atmosphere of the book. It was very atmospheric. I can feel the intensity, the darkness, the mistiness, the mysteriousness that fog over this whole entire universe. I can feel it whilst reading it. Rachel did a great job on that front, but I wasn't really understanding the magic system. Like I still had so many questions. I just didn't feel any sort of attachment to the characters and to the story. Uh, but I could see the potential of it. I could see why a lot of people liked it because it was quite unique, because of the vibe, the atmosphere of it all. But then the second book came along. I read it immediately because I want to finally able to finish a series. And it was kind of shocking because I loved it a lot more than I did the first book, mainly because it had another point of view, probably one of the best decisions she could ever make. That point of view gave me so much more connection and appreciation for so many characters. I love that it really explained a lot of the things that I wasn't understand about in the first book. The storyline, the plot, the twist, everything was better. Just overall, it's such an amazing book. This second book made the whole series better in my opinion. The second book is The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. Don't know what I expected out of this book. I know that the book will be sort of fun based on the cover, based on the premise, but at the same time, like Christina Lauren was really big before the pandemic. Like that's all I hear about in booktube. I read Love and Other Words, love that book so much, one of the best romance book I've ever read. But other than that book, all of their other books are just okay for me. They're good, they're fun, but nothing exceptional. So I didn't really think much of it. And I also, at that time when I was listening to this book, not a lot of people have read it and not a lot of people recommended it. I've heard some people talked about it, but I didn't see like a huge rave for it. So I listened to it with no high expectation and I read it. It was probably my second favorite book from Christina Lauren. The vibe of it actually reminds me a lot of Crazy Rich Asians. Maybe because of the setting, it was also set up in like an island. There's a marriage happening. The guy is from a very, very rich family. The guy is amazing, but the family itself, especially the parents, are not. They are the type of rich people who kind of look down upon people who are not as rich as them. The girl doesn't come from a rich family. I mean, the details are quite different because obviously this book is more of a fake marriage trope. The other book is like already an actual relationship. But overall, I really, really do enjoy this one. Quite fun. I love the banter, quite funny. It wasn't really like my top favorite book of 2024, but it was for sure the book that I was kind of like meh about that ended up really enjoying. What was an overhyped book that I've read in 2024? Now I already kind of touched on this. One Dark Window by Rachel Gillick, the first book from the Shepherd King duology, just because everyone raved about it so much, gave it 5 stars, and it wasn't quite like that for me. Like I said, quite a few things that I wish kind of better, even though I liked it. I just thought it will be like incredible, extraordinary, or whatever. I also have another book in mind, which is The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. She's also the author of The 7 Years Sleep. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. I kind of the same problem with One Dark Window if in terms of the romantic relationship. It's quite jumpy. Like I don't see a real progression of their feeling. It just goes from feeling like this to feeling like this in a jump, in a blink of an eye, and I don't feel the growth, the tension. I come to a realization that I like slow burn more, but I also really enjoy like love at first sight kind of thing. I don't mind insta love at all, but I just don't enjoy a love that goes from one thing to the other very quickly like this. There are some really good moments in it. I love there a lot of the banters. I also love that there are a lot of really lovely quotes in this book. It's not bad at all, but it's also just not as good as I thought it would be. Next is a book that surprised me. I think I have, wait, for this one, it has to be It Ends With Us. Well, why did I sound very weird there? It has to be It Ends With Us by Colin Hoover. I've been wanting to read this book for the longest time. I have it in my bookcase, guys, physically. I have so many Colin Hoover books back from when she was really big on BookTube. It's been on my TBR for years, but never actually read it until the movie came out. So I just came into the movie without reading it, but I also kind of knew what's going on, like what's about to happen. I know that the problem with it with people mainly was because it was advertised as a very lovely, like easy read about love, romantic and all of that. Flowers, pinks, but even though it's about a much heavier topic, domestic violence. So I at least know going in that it will not be just a typical lovely rom-com romantic story. I went in, watched the movie. I really liked it. It had some shocking moments, very sad. But I also think Lily's storyline, like her strength, is quite admirable and inspiring, especially towards the end. Even though I know the journey of it all is very toxic, but it's just my personal opinion, guys. Please don't attack me. But I also think that even though it could be better and it shed a light on it in a more like toxic way, but it's quite realistic because a lot of people do think when they're in the thick of the violence, they usually cannot see the bad of the guys. They still kind of make excuses for them and everything. I know it's not for everyone, but a lot of people do think and act like Lily. Yeah, after I watched the movie, I read the book and I just want to see the differences. I read the book, I really liked it. I know there are some changes here and there, but overall, I really enjoyed the book, which I kind of surprised me because I thought it will be just pure toxic, bad, like nothing good about it at all. I think the way it was written is very true to how Lily's state of mind during the relationship. We see it through a rose-colored glass. So, which is why I think it's lovely and romanticize your favorite book couple or couples of the year. Now, I have a few as well, but the first one is obviously BJ and Magnolia. I know a lot of people prefer Magnolia with, shoot, I forget his name. The Hates. Who is his name? Why do I suddenly forget his name? So sorry, but you know, the other guy from the Daisy Hates book. I mean, I like the guy, but I much prefer BJ and Magnolia. But this year I read Into the Dark and it just solidified them as one of my favorite. You see the growth for them as individual, but also for them as a couple, especially for BJ. They are toxic, but they are toxic together, and for a reason. They're just perfect for each other, guys. I already miss them a lot. The second couple is Rowan and Aelin from the Throne of Glass series. At first I wasn't sure. I don't know. I think a lot of people immediately obsessed with Rowan. I know I'm gonna be obsessed with him, but at that time I was still kind of obsessing over the other guys, Dorian and Kel. So I was trying to like, oh, Rowan, whatever, I don't like him. By the time Queen of Shadows, especially towards the end, I was like, yeah, Rowan and Aelin is the best couple. And especially after Empire of Storms, just like hands down, the best. Next is the couple from Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, Brianna and Jacob. I love them as a couple so much. I think especially because of Jacob. Jacob is such a wholesome guy. He's so kind to everyone around him, so lovely, such a golden retriever energy, but at the same time he's like so hot and good at what he does. He's also very, very introvert, just very caring towards everyone around him, and I also just love the banter between him and Brianna. Next question is new favorite author you discovered this year, and I have to say Abby Jimenez. I've read a lot of new author this year, which I love, but I think Abby Jimenez overall, like every single book, even though I only read 2 books from her so far, every single one of them are so great. I agree with a lot of people's opinions that her writing reminds me of Emily Henry's. Love them so much. Next is the other side of that author that didn't work out for you this year. I think Kay Webster. Oh, I was actually in the middle of a sentence and I got cut off. Anyway, I think I was in the middle of saying things about my least favorite author of 2024. It's The Wild by Kay Webster. It's about a relationship between father and daughter. And after reading the whole entire story, I mean, can kind of understand why they ended up together. It was forced proximity, but even after all of that, the situation, what was revealed towards the ending, I still think it was a little bit too much for me to taboo. I mean, I'm not saying she's the worst author, but she's just not for me. And the next question is, what is the happiest book you read this year? Now, for this question, I have a couple as well. The first one that came to my mind is Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. Now, I know that book is also one of my saddest book I've read in 2024, but it also makes me really happy and joyful, and I was just so glad to see where Magnolia and BJ ended up in. Even though it's sad, it's also very, very healing. Their growth makes me happy, which is why this book is also one of my happiest one. And the second book I think about is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I actually watched the series first before I read the book because I wasn't really into graphic novel before. I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not. I mean, knowing me, which I was a graphic designer, guys, I love illustrations, so of course I should have known that I will love graphic novel, but I haven't read anything graphic novel before, so I wasn't sure. And it was one day I just found it available on my local library physically, so I decided to borrow the first, second, and third. I read it all in a day. I loved it so much, and the illustration itself is also very, very cute. I also read the fourth and fifth one. Cannot wait for the sixth one. I think that will be the last one, right? Don't know when that book will finally come out, but yeah, I just adore this series so much. Even though there are a lot of sad and heavy important topics involved, this book also makes me very happy. Next is Wildfire by Hannah Grace. It's the second book from the Maple Hill series. I think that's what it's called, after Icebreaker. I love Icebreaker. That book is more like very fall winter kind of vibe because it happened mainly around ice rink. Just a lot of winter moments in that book. And Wildfire is more summery because it is happened around summer camp. And there's just a lot of really fun activities being shown in the book. Even though there are a lot of like some heavier topics and trauma and mental health things, especially towards the end, but overall the whole entire vibe is just so cozy and warm and just have overall a happier tone compared to Icebreaker in my opinion. Next question, what was the saddest book you read this year? Obviously, kind of touched on this already, but Magnolia Park's Into the Dark is also one of my saddest book of the year besides being the happiest. I cried so many times reading this book, and it was also kind of dangerous for me that I decided to read this on a plane from Melbourne to Perth. I spent the whole entire flight trying to hold my tears. I think someone saw that I read that book and was like giving me a funny look because, oh, you're brave reading that on the plane. I think that's what they said. Also, If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. I think I spent the most entire book just feeling like, oh, come on, just it's another miscommunication trope. Didn't feel sad during most of it, and then by the end of it, something happened tragically sad, and I cried about that specific moment. Afterward, I look back to the entire journey, the entire story that I've read before that, and it makes me sad for all of it. So my sadness just got tenfold after I reminisce over what had happened prior to that, and it just makes the book even sadder. The other one is Bear Town by Frederick Backman. Now, this book is about a town that very much glorify hockey, and everyone just involved in hockey, love hockey. I listened to the audiobook of it. There are one specific moment that just really breaks my heart. I cried listening to it. It's so heartbreaking, especially if you're a woman. I think you can kind of connect to it and relate to it and just feel for what happened to this character and just the injustice of it all. I just cried, not just for the character, but also for every single woman who have gone through it or might have go through it in the future, because even if we make progress as a society, these things still happen to women. And yeah, it's just very heartbreaking. Next is the most frustrating book you read this year. The most frustrating thing for me is when the character doesn't communicate with each other, when miscommunication happen. It's so frustrating, but at the same time, I ate it up so much because the resolve at the end just feels so much better and freeing and like, oh, finally, you know? So while I hate it, I also love it. And two things really comes to mind when it comes to miscommunication and the most frustrating thing. It's Before We Were Strangers. I don't know who that's from, but Renee Carlino, I think. Yeah, it's by Renee Carlino, Before We Were Strangers, and Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I felt so frustrated reading it. But at the same time, they are one of my favorite book of the year, so that tells you I love it whilst also heading in. Next, your favorite covers of the year. I have a couple. The first one is Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. I don't know what it is about that book. I just love that kind of illustration, that style, and that cover alone made me want to read the book, even though I haven't finished the Dreamland Billionaire series by her. But after I read this book, turns out I really, really liked it. I loved it. In fact, it's one of my favorite book of 2024. And there are characters from Dreamland Billionaires kind of made a guest appearance in this book, which leads me to actually finishing that series, read the last book, and I also really like that. So this cover alone make me finish two books at once. And the next one is Noctacadia by Carrie Lake. I love skulls, and this book cover has skulls in it, but I also really like the color combination. It looks dark, it It looks mysterious but cool at the same time. I read it and it ended up one of my favorite book of the year. And next one is again Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. I just love all of Jessa writings. Jessa Hastings book cover. Love every single one of them. Besides that shoes cover, I still don't know why they decided to put shoes on the cover, because I mean I know Magnolia Parks life basically revolves around fashion, but not Daisy Hates, and they still show shoes on it. Don't know why. I don't really like that cover. I think everyone on earth can agree with me on that front. And yeah, I just love the original, like the indie version cover. But this cover specifically, actually one of my least favorite cover amongst all the other Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates covers. I don't know why. I think just the color maybe. Every single one of Magnolia Park's covers, when you look at it, it looks cool, but after you read it, you can look at the cover and see all this like Easter eggs, all the tiny little details that actually have something to do with the books, and you can just look at it, pick things up, and like dissect it. It's just so fun, and this book also really matches what's inside of the book, which I really like. When next, a book you haven't stopped thinking about. Again, I'm sorry to keep repeating some answers, but I have to say Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. Haven't stopped thinking about BJ Magnolia, the book, the storyline, the plot. I can even still vividly remember where I was reading that book. It's so visceral, and I cannot wait to reread this book. I really want to reread the whole entire series universe, maybe before the next Daisy Hates book come out, which I don't know when that will be, but I can't wait to do that. And I rarely reread books, so that's just tell you how much I love this series overall. Next, unpopular book you loved. I have Hade's series by Tate James. I read the second, third, and last book on Hate series early on the year because I just read the first book at the end of 2023. I actually read the whole entire universe along with Madison Kate series in one go in the last week of 2023, and then I just keep reading every single one of them like so fast, even though actually now looking back, the book in this series is actually the longest book I've read in 2024, and that kind of shocked me because it didn't feel that long, you know. I just ate it up and I loved it so much. So Madison Kate's and Hate series are two different series, but they exist in the same universe, and some of the characters from Hate's appear on Madison Kate series before, and the characters from Madison Kate series actually appeared a couple of times in Hate series. They are so full of action. Hates are such a badass character, and it is a bit of a taboo dark romance. It's a romance between Hates and three other guys. Same with Madison Cates, it's about her and three other guys. So all of these are reverse harem series, but it also just more than a romance. It's full of action. It's very thrilling. There are a lot of mystery involved. It's more like a gang, I think. I don't know if it's a gang or like a mafia kind of romance, but I don't think they're mafia. It's more like gangs. Yeah, it is so fun and thrilling and very fast paced. Like I said, it's very long, but it didn't feel that long. So yeah, and I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about this, even from my favorite YouTubers who usually read like have similar taste in books as me, especially in terms of like dark romance or taboo romance and everything. Maybe they did talk about this years ago, who knows? Maybe the hype for it already passed. I think I've only seen one or two other person who talked about this series years ago, but at the moment no one really talked about this. And if you like this kind of story, maybe I think you should check it out, especially if you love the Dare series. Maybe you will like this as well because it has similar vibe. Next question is book you thought you'd love but didn't. King of Pride by Anna Huang is the second book from the Kings of Sin series. Twisted series is one of my favorite romance series, especially Twisted Lies, the last book in that series. And coming over from that series, especially the first book, the character was present or mentioned in Twisted Lies, maybe also in Twisted Hate, but you already kind of see some of the characters from this series, so I already had high hopes. And reading the first one, it didn't leave me with a lot of impression. It was just okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't the best. It was just good. It wasn't my favorite out of everything I've read from Ana Huang so far. And coming to this, it was also just okay. I thought it will be better than the previous one. I thought it will be as good as the Twisted series, but so far it didn't wow me. I think every single one at this point just feels kind of similar. Like I cannot even tell you the difference between the first and second book in Kings of Sin. And that didn't happen with the Twisted series because every single one just feels very like distinctively different, even though they are also kind of billionaire romance. But with this series so far, from the 2 books I've read, all I can remember is just it's about a billionaire, it's billionaire romance and nothing else. Even though I love billionaire romance, I still want to have some sort of differentiation and excitement on it. Like, just give me something a bit more remarkable than that, because at this point, none of it has wowed me. But I will still continue with the rest of the series just to see if they are going to be better. Next book with the most unique concept you read this year. I don't really know. I think I have 2. Maybe the first one is the Shepherd King series, One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. Like I said, that book is just very atmospheric. Like it's a gothic romantasy. It just feels ominous and dark and mysterious and like eerie. And you feel that when you read the book. And I don't know how she managed to do that, but it did. And it also have quite a unique magic system and problems. I love the setting, I love the plot line. And the next one is Noctacadia by Carrie Lake. It's a dark romance, but I think it's more mystery than romance. There are a lot of mystery involved in this book. It's about a girl who's trying to find out what happened to her late mother. She got invited to join this prestigious university, and she will have a chance to try to figure out what happened, what sort of disease her mother had. So obviously there are a lot of mystery involved. It's also an age gap student-teacher romance. It's quite slow burn, but it's also more thriller with romance. I think the thriller aspect of it is more present than the romance a lot of the times, in my opinion. There are also secret society. There are a lot of action, especially towards the end. Like overall, just a mixture of everything feels quite unique and fresh to me. Next book you read this year that you would reread. Again, I'm sorry to keep repeating the same book over and over again, but like I said, Magnolia Park's Into the Dark, I rarely do rereads, but I still think about them almost daily, and I just really, really want to reread them. But like I said, probably later, once the next book is announced or will come out. Next, 2024 reading goal reflection and a reading goal for 2025. I think the thing that I love the most about my reading in 2024 is how many different genres, author, topics, tropes that I've read in 2024. Almost every single month I read thriller, romance, fantasy, dark romance, young adult romance, and I also read many different type of books. I don't know how to say it. I read physical books, Kindle books, and also audiobooks every single month. And then I also started reading and borrowing books from my local library and also from Libby, which I never did before, and I actually really liked it. It saves me a lot of money. Yeah, I just love that I really branch out and not just stick to one thing over the other. I really consciously and unconsciously read a lot of different things. And because of that, I also find a lot of new series and new author that I really love and will continue reading in next year. I also managed to finish at least half of the books from my 2024 TBR. I had 24 books. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's more than that because I also include one series as one. I finished half of it, which really happened to me. I think the previous year I only managed to read like 30% of it, like 35% of it, which I'm very proud about. Hopefully I can repeat that or read more than half in 2025. And I think specifically, even though I always love and enjoy and obsessed with reading. I think 2024 solidified that even further because some really horrible thing happened to me in 2024, and I really use reading and books as a lifeline. I still feel mentally not great at the moment, but I think I will be in a much worse condition mentally and emotionally if it wasn't for reading. I read a lot of books when I was lonely. I read a lot of books when I was sad and depressed and had a bad day. And yeah, it was such an escapism. It always was, but more so than ever in 2024. I just feel better when I read. Yeah, and I'm just so glad and happy that I have books and reading to kind of entertain me and be my friend. Next book you wish you got to this year. Oh, I have a couple. The first one is any books from Elsie Silver. She's one of the author that I really want to get into in 2024, but I didn't manage to do that because I really want to read Wild Love. But at the same time, I was like thinking maybe I should start with the Chestnut Spring series. I probably want to read all of them in order. It's gonna take me a while to get into Wild Love, and it's just a whole cycle of me keep thinking, oh, which one I should read, which one I should read. It made me overwhelmed, and I ended up not reading any of them. Also, just so many fantasy series that I really want to get into but wasn't able to. For example, Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Like I have all of them physically, but haven't read them. And also Powerless by Lauren Roberts, and also Crescent City. Now, I have been putting this book for years in my yearly TBR. I think someone said it's better to read Akatar and then Throne of Glass and then Crescent City, which is why I've been putting it off and putting it off because I haven't finished Throne of Glass. I still have 2 more books to go, and I will for sure finish that in 2025. So hopefully I will be able to get into Crescent City next. Guys, I have read the first book. The first Crescent City book is actually the book that made me re-fall in love with reading again and become so obsessed like I am now. So hopefully in 2025, I will finally read the second and third book from Crescent City because I've been putting it off for way too long. The last question, finally, I've been sitting here for a long time, I feel like. What will you prioritize in your 2025 reading year? Like I said, Crescent City. That's one of my main goals. And I also really just want to read from my physical TBR that I have here in Indonesia in my background. I won't have them physically with me, but since now I am actually borrowing books from library and a couple of them actually available on Kindle Unlimited, I think I will just read whatever books available in there that I also own physically here. Will also put myself on a book buying ban, so hopefully by the end of 2025 the amount of books that I haven't read physically will reduce significantly. And I also really want to finish series that I'm currently in, as many as I possibly can. I'm in the middle of so many series and I still really want to read more series, so I think I have to have a balance, start more but also finishing more. And that's it for this video. It's been a long video, I think. Bless my editing self. I hope I don't have a hard time cutting this down. If you have any question for me, leave them down below. You can also leave a comment of your favorite book of 2024. Let me know. Maybe I will put that in my personal 2025 TBRs. Who knows? If you are still here by any chance, thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry again I put this video up so late, but I'm just gonna count it as a warm-up for myself, so I can get better in front of camera again and just improve every single video that I post, hopefully. And yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. Let's be friends and talk about books and hang out, and I hope I can see you in another video. I hope I can see you tomorrow, because in my head I will have a bookish week starting from today. Tomorrow I think I will post about my most anticipated releases for 2025. And yeah, if you are interested in that, I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye guys.